So I want to make sure I understand correctly then that validity rollups could be used for more complex transactions, maybe higher value transactions where you're not dependent on a channel capacity like you are on Lightning, and Lightning is going to be Bitcoin only, send receive transactions, and it's probably going to be lower value transactions because there is some capacity limitations when it comes to the channels you're connected with. Is that roughly the right idea?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then maybe the last thing I'll mention is the difference in throughput. So, although you are limited to the channel capacity with Lightning, you're not really limited in terms of your throughput, except how fast can your node send a message to another node over the internet, and how fast can that other node verify that message and maybe send you a response. So like basically like Lightning can be as fast as like your computer can do like ECDSA operations and send messages over the wire. So lightning fast.
Right.
And you can do that like an arbitrarily large number of times, as much as you're willing to pay, the routing fees if there's a routing fee involved. Um, Whereas rollups, their throughput is limited by how many transactions can fit, or how many rollup transactions can fit in a layer one block. So I mentioned with the account model rollups, you could fit theoretically like as much as say 250,000 transactions per block. Like that's your upper limit of like how many transactions you can do within a 10-minute period of time on the rollup. Whereas with Lightning, you could imagine an application where you're sending like one transaction every few like milliseconds or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And you could have thousands of transactions happening or millions of transactions happening in that same 10-minute window of time. And it's totally unconstrained by the layer one block space that's available.
Right.
So rollups might be most appropriate for like higher value, lower latency, lower volume, more expressive or more private transactions. Whereas Lightning is really great for lower value, higher volume, uh, higher throughput transactions.
Right. Now, in your paper, you mentioned the Lightning Network as, I'm just reading here, one of the most popular off chain transaction execution protocols. And you also go on to say that these off chain protocols are designed to take resource load off of the base layer full node network. So now that Lightning has been out for 4 or 5 years, what is your assessment of how well the Lightning Network is accomplishing that goal of taking resource load off the base layer?
That's a really good question. It's hard to answer because of the way that the Lightning Network is constructed. Like, because nodes can do transactions directly between each other off chain, it's hard to get, maybe even impossible to get an accurate picture of how much transaction volume is actually occurring on Lightning. You can talk to individual node operators and maybe some of the operators of the more popular nodes to just get a sense of like how much volume is coming through your node in a given period of time. But due to the topology of the network and the overall way that the protocol works, I would say it's impossible to really know how many transactions are really occurring on Lightning. But based on some of the anecdotes that I've heard from node operators that like present at conferences or talk about these things on podcasts and such, it does seem like there's a significant amount of volume that is getting taken off of the Bitcoin blockchain, and it's now occurring on these higher level networks, Lightning specifically. So I would say, as much as Lightning has been adopted, it is doing the job that it was designed to do. I use Lightning um, quite often. I would say as much as I can. The opportunity isn't always available when I go to buy something online, but when the opportunity is available and the transaction is below a certain threshold, I'll use Lightning because it's just a better payment experience in my opinion.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I personally find that it does the job that I expect of it when I go to use it. So I'm a happy customer.